I used to think that the worst sound in the world was a door slamming in the middle of an argument. It turns out, the worst sound is silence, the kind that follows betrayal. That eerie, all-consuming hush that blankets everything when your world stops making sense. My name's Ray. I'm 41. I've been married to Claire for 13 years. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming party. She was sipping wine and playing a quiet tune on a beat-up acoustic guitar someone had left behind. I was a freshly divorced guy trying to find reasons to believe in love again. Claire gave me that. Her voice, soft and smooth, pulled me back from a place I didn't even know I was stuck in. It felt like fate. And maybe it was, for a while. We have a daughter, Ava. She's 10 and already more talented than I could ever hope to be. Music became our family glue. Claire had taught herself guitar growing up, and Ava inherited every ounce of that musical instinct. It made sense to nurture it. So we hired a guitar teacher, a young guy named Damien. He came highly recommended from the local music school. Early 20s, laid back, one of those effortlessly charming types who somehow made hoodies and Vans look professional. Ava adored him. And Claire? Well, at the time I thought she was just being her usual supportive self. She always took an interest in what Ava was learning, often sitting in on the sessions while I was stuck in traffic or late at work trying to keep clients happy. Then things started to shift. It was subtle at first. Claire got a little too enthusiastic about the lessons, suddenly clearing her entire Wednesday schedule to be home. I brushed it off. Work had me exhausted, and honestly, I was just glad someone had the bandwidth to focus on Ava's creativity. But one afternoon, I came home early. It was a fluke, the meeting got rescheduled, and I thought I'd surprise my girls with takeout and maybe catch the tail end of Ava's practice. I pulled into the driveway and noticed Damien's car parked out front. Weird, since the lesson was usually over by 4 and it was almost 5. Still, maybe it ran late. The front door was unlocked. I stepped in quietly, balancing the takeout in one arm. The house was too quiet. Ava's giggles or the familiar plucking of strings usually filled the space, but not that day. I called out her name, expecting to hear her shout from the living room. No answer. That's when I noticed the music room door was closed. Normally left wide open after lessons, Claire always said it helped air out the creativity, whatever that meant. I crept over, unsure why my stomach was knotting up. Maybe it was the instinct we all have but ignore until it's screaming. I heard a sound. A low moan. Not of pain. Of pleasure. My entire body froze. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there, listening to my wife betray me on the other side of the door, in the room where our daughter had learned to play Blackbird by heart. I could have barged in. I could have yelled, slammed the door, thrown something. But I didn't. I backed away, step by step, and left the house. I don't remember driving. I don't remember where I went. I only remember the feeling. Like my bones were made of glass and someone had dropped me from the top of a building. Claire wasn't just my wife, she was the foundation. And now I was free falling through nothing. That night, she acted normal. Too normal. Told me Ava had gone to a friend's house, that the lesson went well, and that she ordered Thai for dinner. I stared at her across the table, wondering how someone who once looked at me with such warmth could lie so seamlessly. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Something in me needed to wait. Maybe it was denial. Maybe it was strategy. All I knew was that I couldn't unhear the sound of her betrayal. The worst kind of silence. In the days that followed, I went through the motions like a ghost haunting my own life. Claire smiled like nothing had happened. She asked about my day, reminded me to pick up milk, kissed me on the cheek like her mouth hadn't just been on another man days before. Ava was oblivious, thank God, and I clung to her joy like a lifeline. But inside, something was unraveling. I didn't confront her right away. I needed proof not for her, but for me. Because when someone you love does the unthinkable, your mind plays tricks on you. It starts whispering things like maybe you misheard or maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. I couldn't let myself fall into that trap. So the next Wednesday, I left work early again. This time, I parked 3 houses down and walked home on foot. I texted Claire that I had a late meeting, that I'd be home by 8. I watched from across the street like a stranger watching a life that used to be mine. At 3:45, Damien's car pulled up. 10 minutes later, Ava left with her overnight bag. She was going to a sleepover. Claire kissed her goodbye at the door, then came back inside. And the door to the music room closed. I waited. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. I couldn't do it anymore. I crossed the street, unlocked the front door as quietly as I could, and walked down the hall. Voices. Not loud. Not rushed. Calm. Familiar. And then, laughter. Claire's laugh. The one I used to think was just for me. I opened the door. They didn't hear it. Not at first. She was seated on the bench next to him, her hand tracing lazy circles along his thigh while he tuned Ava's guitar. His hand rested on the back of her neck like he owned her. Like she belonged to him. Claire. She jerked back like I'd hit her. Damien stood quickly, knocking the guitar off his lap. It clattered to the floor, the sound slicing through the tension like a blade. Ray, this isn't. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't lie. I was here last week, too. I heard it. Claire's face crumbled. You don't understand. It just happened. I laughed. Cold, empty. Did it just happen last week, too? Or was that the warm-up act? Damien looked like he wanted to disappear. I turned to him. Get out. He didn't move. I said get out. Or I swear to God, I'll make you regret every second you spend in this house. He walked past me without a word, head down, carrying the guitar Ava loved so much like a thief carrying stolen goods. Claire stood frozen, arms crossed over her chest like she was trying to hold herself together. Ray, I didn't plan this. I swear. I never meant to hurt you. You didn't just hurt me, I said. You desecrated the only sacred thing we had left. That room, our daughter's room, you turned it into your secret. She started crying, and I hated that I still wanted to hold her. That I still remembered how she used to fall asleep against my chest, murmuring little things about her day. I hated that my first instinct wasn't rage but loss. I felt invisible, she whispered. You were always tired. Always distracted. Damien made me feel seen. Then you should have looked at yourself harder. Because the woman I fell in love with? She never would have done this. The next day, I packed a bag and left. I didn't yell. I didn't destroy anything. I just walked out. Not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much to let her keep breaking me. Claire called. Texted. Begged to talk. I didn't answer. I needed space. I needed to figure out how to move forward when everything behind me had turned to ash. Ava still doesn't know. I don't know if she ever will. But I do know one thing, the silence that followed betrayal isn't silent anymore. It's music. A different kind. One I've started writing myself, slow, cautious, painful, but mine. And someday, I'll play it loud enough that I'll drown out the memory of her voice.